Bunin, thank you for watching Outside the Lines. Coming up next, John Saunders and the Sports Reporters.
Thank you, Steve. I'm John Saunders, and these are the Sports Reporters.
I'm Bob Ryan of the Boston Globe. Johan Santana gave up 33 home runs last year. He gave up 3 to the Yankees yesterday. Did anyone notice or care then? Does anyone with the Mets care now?
I'm Mike Lupick of the New York Daily News. You know, in life, you forget where you left your car keys, or you forget where you left your glasses. But Charles Barkley forgot to pay off a $400,000 debt to a Las Vegas casino?
I'm Mitch Albom of the Detroit Free Press. Everyone talks about 7th games, but ask the Red Wings, Penguins, Celtics, or Hornets. It's the closeout game when you have a team down that may be the hardest of all.
The Celtics, who were the beasts of the East while winning 66 games, now have to win another Game 7 just to reach the conference finals. One more win is all Big Brown needs. 5 times he's gone to the starting gate, and 5 times he's been in the winner's circle. Have we seen a horse like this in 30 years? A Triple Crown winner.
The Sports Reporters is presented by CDW from the ESPN Zone in Times Square in New York City.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Sports Reporter. Gentlemen, it was deja vu all over again. Big Brown won the Preakness going away, breezing. Now, Bob, is this the year? Is this the horse?
You know, Kent DeSormo actually used that phrase, deja vu. You know, they needed to replace the entire field, save one horse, just to get a field to go against them in the Preakness. I think for the Belmont, they're going to have to go up here to Central Park and make a raid on the horses to fill out the field for the Belmont.
We have had other horses come into the Belmont with a chance to do this recently, okay? But this looks to be the horse that horse racing has been waiting for a long time. Big Brown, a big horse.
Well, the jockey said that, you know, coming down the stretch, he knew it was already over and started already preparing for the Belmont by slowing the horse down. So you would have to think the ease with which this horse won the race suggests that this is a one. But I've sat in this chair an awful long time and had this discussion many years. There seems to be a reason why it's been 30 years since it's happened.
I've been to 3 Belmonts for the same reason. You know, because somebody has won the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown and has not succeeded. So it's not a layup as a reason, as he said, why we've waited 30 years.
I've been to a lot more than 3, and I was there when at the end of the affirmed Aladar thing 30 years ago. This is not just a great horse off of what we've seen so far. This is a great story. And, you know, the backstretch has always been full of stories. You know, we just don't go and tell them anymore because the sport is not what it is in terms of the general public. You've got a trainer with a tremendous story, and you've got a jockey with a tremendous story who had the chance to do this 10 years ago and got blamed when Real Quiet didn't win the Belmont and got passed by Victory Gallop.
Well, suppose he wins. Does it? What will it mean? I mean, we've talked about this for 30 years, but the world is the racing world has changed in 30 years as well. As that, it's not as if he's going to be on display for the next 4 or 5 years, a la
that day,
a la Cigar or a la John Henry.
It's going to be a big day.
Those days are gone. Yeah. I mean, what they talk about what would it mean?
It'll mean 2 things. Number one, it'll be a big splash for that day and a couple days after, because that's what the news cycle is now. It's a lot different than 30 years ago. And B, and we saw a little of this yesterday, it will erase some of what we were all talking about after the Kentucky Derby, and that is how dangerous the sport is. Everyone said when that happened after 8 bells that the only thing that might kind of rub that out in terms of the public consciousness is a Triple Crown winner, which revives the glory of it. So in some ways, that balances the scale of why people watch this.
We're talking, though, about an achievement that is so great it hasn't been accomplished in 30 years that now it's like we have a mystery horse from Japan that could come over and upset the country.
No, there'll be 3 weeks of stories like this, and again, we look for a big horse, and so far, just the way this horse has won so easily, we've gotten that because we're not really talking about Seattle Slew. We're not talking about. They always want for another Secretariat to come along, and believe me, I'm not comparing this horse to Secretariat, but there is a bit of that aura now because the horse has won the first 2 races so easily.
To the NBA playoffs, where it is possible for the Boston Celtics to go 16-12 and win the NBA championship. But I don't think they intended it that way.
Yeah.
They've got another Game 7 against LeBron
That's right.
now.
You can have a Tim Wakefield year and win the NBA championship, but it's not. It doesn't work that way. They've won 16 of their own championships, and never before have they gone this far into it without winning at least one road game. That's just them. And I'm certain if you check everyone else, you'll know no one's ever gone this far winning the championship without winning at least one road game. It's very disturbing. The blood is in the water. People, any aura of I won't say invincibility, but superiority has been absolutely eliminated, and they're quite vulnerable. Even if they win today, every time they go on the road now, it takes on an enormous life of its own.
Well, you realize that even if they win today in advance, they're only halfway to winning an NBA championship. I mean, it feels like they've been playing for 6 years. Also, Cleveland is a very limited team. I mean, you know, I said that they should not have gone 7 games against Atlanta. I also say they shouldn't have to go 7 games against Cleveland if they are what everybody says it's to be. Now, LeBron James is the greatest player in the game in terms of pure skill. That's true, but his supporting cast frequently lets him down. With Gibson out, you know, he loses that one little kick-out thing that basically put away the Detroit Pistons last year, having a guy who can regularly hit the three-pointers. And them going into Boston today, I'll tell you, if LeBron James somehow leads Cleveland past Boston today, it will not only be a cementing of his particular legend of how much one player can affect a game, it will be, I think, the greatest flip-flop of what was expected during the season versus what ended up happening, that the Boston Celtics, this 66-win team, went out in the second round after needing to go 14 games in the playoffs. We should watch what we predict from that point forward in the NBA season.
He's trying to throw off the tyranny of false accusations today and prove that the other dudes are faking. This is the most dangerous game. You can't let this kid have a chance to beat you in a Game 7. And that's why I think the road-home thing, hey, Mitch knows as well as anybody because he saw the games last year. And you can talk about Gibson all you want. LeBron beat the Pistons last year because of that night when he scored about 9,000 points in a row. He has not had that kind of game in the series. He's had some big first halves. He even shot 9 for 23 the other night. But if you're the Celtics, for all the ways we can look at this game, you have to be thinking, LeBron hasn't been great yet. Great. Like he was against the Pistons last year. And if that happens today, Celtics are going to lose.
Remember, he did that in Detroit.
Right.
He didn't,
That's
so
exactly
he
right.
could do it on the road, right, you know.
Right.
And for all the talk of the Big Three, most of this, if the Celtics fail, is going to be perceived to fall on the shoulders of Kevin Garnett.
Well, wait a minute. Wait, excuse me. You mean Ray Allen showed up in this series? Ray Allen has been small enough to ride Big Brown in this series.
People have talked about Kevin Garnett as an underachiever as far as his team winning. Not as far as his play, but as far as Minnesota winning.
In that, Kevin Garnett is the focal point of everything, and he's the one that had a certain reputation coming in. Ray Allen had no reputation coming in this regard. He is the one laying the giant brontosaurus egg. Yes, okay? He is the one doing that.
Garnett's played at a very high
and
level
it's being
in this
pointed
series.
out. No, but John, all John said, the perception, hopefully, if they fail, it will not be dropped on Garnett, even though historically everything has been. That's all he's saying.
When you talk about the Big Three, nobody said about the Big Three that won 66 games during the regular season. There was 31-10 on the road. They didn't say, oh, well, you know, Pierce is going to get really tired because he has to cover LeBron, and Ray Allen's not going to show up. The Big Three has become a big one in this tournament, and to put it all on Kevin Garnett, I don't think it's fair.
No, and by becoming a big one, it doesn't suddenly separate itself from the other teams that are out there, because the playoff teams all have at least a big one, except the Pistons, which are kind of spread around there. So, you know, the playoffs have a way. First of all, I'm not sure Kevin Garnett as much as Doc Rivers. Coaches have a way of taking responsibility or getting blamed when you have talent on your roster. But the playoffs have a way of making older players look very old as they go on. And, you know, these guys aren't kids, particularly Kevin Garnett and Allen. And there will be a price to pay for the Celtics even if they advance. This many games in the first 2 rounds, having to take it into the next 2, will probably show up somewhere around Game 6 of the next series, or if they make the finals, midway through that.
Game 7s, the home teams win 80% of the time, so Kevin Garnett can feel good in that. Up next, the defending champion Spurs, who have won 4 titles, go into a hornet's nest in New Orleans tomorrow night for another Game 7, while Kobe Bryant and the Lakers can sit back and catch some Z's.